Hey there, everybody. It's Andy with My Side of the Fence podcast. We've got a pretty stacked schedule over the next couple of weeks, but I am here with Mayor Hal Parrish today, former mayor.
Former mayor. That's right.
We're both retired.
both of us served, and both of us look back on it fondly.
Mostly, yeah. Mostly, yeah. So, Hal, I don't, people, you and I both grew up in Manassas, but tell everybody a little bit about your family, and they may not know, especially some of the newer folks, the history of service and leadership that your family's provided.
Yeah, be glad to. But first of all, let me say thank you. I appreciate the invitation to be with you.
Yeah.
And I do have a gift for you here. And I know we've got, you were kind enough to bring a couple of glasses. So if you would share, since this is now yours.
Go ahead and pour yourself a glass.
All right, let me do that. Make sure I don't.
Hal has brought what looks to be bourbon.
It is. It's a little bourbon, and it is going to be neat. If everybody knows what that is.
And it's bourbon in a glass.
It's just
what kind is it?
It is.
Oh wow, double-barreled Jim Beam.
Double-barreled Jim Beam, and I'm not going to drink much, but I'll have a sip or two.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Let me go back. If you think about my grandfather, Edgar Parrish, who lived on Center Street, house is still there. It's two houses away from Fairview Avenue. If you were to go down Center Street in the correct direction and past Fairview, their house used to be a white house on the right-hand side. And I remember as a kid, there were 13 of us grandchildren that would end up there for holidays and so forth. And my grandfather and my grandmother lived there. And the 13 grandchildren grew up. There were 13 grandchildren. There were 5 children of Edgar and Alberta Parrish. My dad was one of those 5. His brother, Frank Parrish, was obviously one of the 5, and then 3 girls, a twin, 2 twins, and Nancy, who became Nancy Lawson, who was Nancy Hayden to begin with. So my grandfather started our business, the Manassas Ice and Fuel Company, in 1922.
Damn.
So well over 100 years ago, now 3 years past 100 years, and a lot of people don't know that. The company was actually, we signed up and went through the State Corporation Commission in 1951, but the business started as an ice business.
Right.
They were making block ice and distributing block ice, but they needed a source of energy to make block ice, and that became fuel. And so they had the only fuel in the area.
Oh.
And that created the opportunity for my grandfather to go into the fuel business. They were also in the coal business. That's one of the reasons why. The coal business. They sold coal. I remember as a kid, there was at our offices right there on Center Street, there was a scale. And I used to see trucks as a kid. I used to see trucks going, get weighed on the scale, go back and get the coal, get back on the scale,
right.
And they would bill people based upon that. And they served coal to provide heat for buildings, commercial buildings as well as homes.
Right.
And so my grandfather started that business, and then came along World War II. My grandfather served in World War I, but World War II came along, and that was the moment when Frank and my dad, Harry, both flew in the Air Force. Dad went to Virginia Tech and learned how to fly there. Never finished his degree, although his degree was in accounting. Never finished his degree because he was taken out of out of school into the military.
Into the service, yeah.
And initially, he was ferrying aircraft after he finished his training. He was actually with the Royal Air Force and training there as well, Andy. And but he would fly and ferry aircraft from the West Coast where they were being built, P-38s to be exact, to the East Coast here before they went across the ocean.
I bet that was a cool plane to fly, man.
In fact, there are stories that I've heard. You don't hear them today, but that I've heard where he buzzed Manassas as he was coming across, and so then ultimately the two of them went into flew over in India, Burma, and China.
Oh, wow.
India, Burma, and China. They were supplying logistics for the Flying Tigers over there.
Flying the hump.
Flying the hump.
Yeah.
Yes, you knew that.
Yeah.
You knew that. So I, being a pilot myself, I learned how to fly at Manassas Airport. And being a pilot myself, I don't know how they did it. I don't think they got shot at too much doing what they were doing, moving goods. But they had to fly over mountains in bad weather, and some of them didn't make it back because of that. Yeah. And they were both fortunate enough to make it back. When they did come back after World War II, my grandfather was still alive, and they both started businesses. My uncle Frank along with my grandfather, started a food business called Manassas Frozen Foods. They were located at the corner of Prince William Street and Main, which is now the parking deck.
Yeah.
Something that you have thoughts about. My dad came back into the business with my grandfather in the petroleum business at that time. So 1950 or 51, I think I'll get this correct, 1950 or 51, Dad started serving as a council member in the town of Manassas at that time. And I've got pictures of them serving in the old town hall, now called Hal Parrish Town Hall, but the old town hall. And I've got pictures of the council members up there. And in fact, when I was serving as mayor, I had that picture on the mayor's wall at the city hall. So he served, I think, don't quote me, but I think for about 12 years as a council member.
Yeah.
I think 16 or 18 years as mayor. And in 1980 or 81, he was fortunate enough, after having lost an election.
Really?
He lost an election when they ran as a group. And there was a time when the legislation was that you ran as a group of people in an area, and he ran along with two others and lost to Bagley, Bell, and Brickley.
I remember that.
Bagley, Bell, and Brickley. And ultimately they changed the requirements and had single person districts, and when that was changed, then he won that next election and left the city as mayor and became a member of the House of Delegates. I think he served for 26 years. So that was 1981 thereabouts. I was still, just having left the Air Force. I went when I was growing up. I went to Osborne High School.
Right.
Went to Bennett Elementary School that you all have talked about. In fact, the Bennett School that's boarded up now was one of the schools that I attended.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm. And I remember the stairs going up to the second floor, big long set of stairs in elementary school there. I also went to Baldwin Elementary when it was still on the hill where the museum is now. Right. Baldwin Elementary, there were at least 3, maybe 4 buildings there. And I went to first and second grade there. And then they were building Marsteller Junior High for us to go into. And it was not quite finished yet at the beginning of the season, so we had to go back to Old Baldwin Elementary for a couple of months. So then we were the first group that went to Marsteller. So my grandfather served. My dad served both the city and the state, and served in the Air Force. In fact, one of the things that I always appreciated about my father was, though he wasn't around for my sister and me, Judy, he wasn't around for us much. He worked 3 jobs, basically.
Yeah.
He was, after World War II, he stayed in the Air Force. He was still an officer in the Air Force and still flying out of Andrews Air Force Base then. And he worked for the city, had that work going for him, and MIFCO, Manassas Ice and Fuel Company. Yeah. So he was busy. He was busy. And I remember thinking, I've had people tell me, well, he wasn't around for you. And I said, well, he really was. Because, a little bit like your dad, he was around because he set the example.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So anyway, he continued to serve in Virginia from about 1981 to when he died. And I had gone to Osborne High School, graduated from Osborne High School a few years ago. After Osborne, I had already gotten my pilot's license. At 17, I had my private pilot's license. I got that right out here at Manassas Airport.
Right.
I wanted to fly in the Air Force. I wanted to follow what example he had set. And so I signed up for ROTC. By the way, there was a draft then. I had a draft number.
Oh, for Vietnam.
I had a draft number for Vietnam. My draft number was 136, and there were young men at that time who would have gotten drafted. I might have gotten drafted out of school.
Right.
But I had a deferment because I was in ROTC. I had signed up for Reserve Officer Training Corps at University of Virginia. And so generally, UVA was a 4-year school.
Right.
But because I was in engineering school and Air Force ROTC, it was a 5-year program. Frankly, I'd go back now. But I'd go back now. I enjoyed school a great deal. I worked hard, but I enjoyed school. Anyway, so I went through ROTC. They wouldn't give, at the end, when I graduated, they wouldn't give me my commission until after I'd actually gotten the degree.
Oh, wow.
So I graduated one day, and the next day I got my commission into the Air Force.
Right.
Several months later, I got sent to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base as an engineer. Unfortunately, my timing was terrible. I was a pilot candidate through ROTC every year while I was in school. Already had my pilot's license. I thought that was probably going to help me. But Vietnam was winding down when I graduated. And
they didn't need more pilots.
They didn't need more pilots. They changed the requirements from correctable to 2020 eyes to 2020. And my eyes were 2030, 2040.
Oh, man.
So good thing is the Air Force treated me well. I went to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to use my engineering degree. 18 months later, I got transferred to Systems Command Headquarters. That's where I learned a great deal about dealing with people, making things happen in the Air Force. And I enjoyed that. That was 3.5 years there. But ultimately, I got out and came back to the family business, and I've been working with the family business ever since.
So you were in for 4 years?
5.
That timing was horrible.
Yeah, it was bad timing. I wanted to fly very badly.
Yeah.
It really sort of didn't matter to me what I was going to be flying. You'd like to be flying the jets.
Well, yeah.
But if I'd have been flying B-52s or something like that, that'd have been fine with me as well. I had some good friends in ROTC and school that went into flying B-52s. So.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I had two uncles that flew in the Vietnam War.
Ooh,
One flew a helicopter ambulance,
wow.
and the other flew an F-4.
Both of those are dangerous jobs.
That helicopter ambulance job, I mean, he showed us pictures from Vietnam at one point. I was a kid, I don't know, 12, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And some of those helicopters, I don't know how the hell he kept them in the air. It was pretty amazing. And then my Uncle John flew.
Baling wire and chewing gum.
Yeah. My Uncle John flew F-4s. And I've only ever seen one picture of him basically just standing on the ladder.
Yeah.
Right before he steps into the cockpit.
Yeah.
I've seen that one. After that, he flew for Delta.
Yeah.
For how many, over 30 years as a pilot. So.
He had tremendous experience and great training, obviously, flying F-4s.
Safer.
F-4s were the ones that I would have loved to have flown.
Yeah, fast.
Didn't get that chance.
Yeah. So you came back to the family business.
1978.
So did you work, you got out of the Air Force, went to the family business, and then you worked there until today.
Today.
Basically.
Yep. In fact, today, people might be interested to know that I signed the sale and purchase contract to transfer and settle on the property next to City Hall. So the city.
Oh, is that right?
I signed that today.
Congratulations.
I think it's good, and it's good, but it's a challenge.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a challenge. I've worked there since I started working at the company when I was 14.
Yeah.
Crushing ice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's a long time.
Long time. Too long.
That was a long time. And your dad was a volunteer firefighter?
Yeah.
And you were too.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was a volunteer firefighter. And one of the stories I like to tell about him, that's a funny story. One of the things you do as a volunteer is you have to run the calls.
Right.
You have to do the training. But you also do some things. We had steak dinners.
Yeah.
And we had bingo to try to raise money for the fire department. And they had him calling bingo. He started calling bingo, and then until he used the nomenclature that you would use in the Air Force if you were flying, B9er.
Right.
They fired him. They didn't let him call anymore.
I mean, back then,
B9er.
the volunteer fire department was kind of the hub for a lot of stuff.
A number of the firefighters were also on the city council.
Yeah.
Stuart Vetter, for example, was one.
I know that for a while there, this might have been 70s and 80s, had to have been. There were so many volunteer firefighters in the city council that joked that we have the best funded fire department of anybody because all these guys sit on the city council.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Even now, to go up to those two rooms where they do bingo and social events, and you look at all of those pictures of all of those guys, and I feel like when I look at that, it's like, man, I knew a lot of these.
You absolutely did.
Yeah.
You and your family. That
Warren was a volunteer firefighter.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was something else. So when did you first? How did you get on council?
How did I get on council? Well, it's an interesting story. I was just working, and I've always felt like working in a business, particularly a family business, like you.
Yeah.
You got to take care of customers.
Yeah.
You've got to have people that work to take care of those customers, but you also have to think about what those customers need and want. You have to communicate with them, and they become clients. They become sometimes friends, but you learn in a family business how to do that. When I decided that I was going to run for city council, it really wasn't running for council my first time. My first time was a little different than most. One of the most recently elected council members died in office.
Oh no.
Died in office. Yep. And he was one of the, well, he should have won. He was well-liked, well-known local businessman, and ran for office, won, and started serving. Unfortunately, cancer
Was that
took
Lou?
its toll. Yeah, Lou Maroon.
Yeah.
Lou Maroon. Fine gentleman.
I felt like the whole community felt it when he passed
Oh,
away.
absolutely. Yeah. He had just been elected, just run for office, and they knew him.
Yeah.
You know, they knew him, and it hurt.
Yeah.
It did. It hurt. Of course, I still I tried to remain close and still remain close to his family.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, I've got to consider that. Somebody asked me, well, let me answer your question first. He died, and at that time, the ordinance in the city and the state law required the city council to appoint
Right.
for the unexpired term
Oh, so the whole time.
the whole time,
Yeah.
not just till the next election like it is,
Right.
but for the whole term. So it was a 3.5-year term, basically, when he died. And there were 10 people who signed up, volunteered, provided information about themselves, resumes,
Right.
did a council inspection, so to speak, spoke in front of the council and in front of the community, all 10 of us. One of the other people that was part of the 10 was my aunt, Nancy Lawson.
Is that
She had signed up as well, and she would have been great. She would have been great. For whatever reason, the council chose me, and I'm flattered, thoughtful, and appreciative of it. I do have, like you, a great desire to serve,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what it is about.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
what it is about. If you're doing it correctly, if you're doing it not for yourself,
It's public service.
public service.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that first moment, 1993, was when I became a council member, and I have to thank several of the folks that were there. Bob Brown was mayor at the time.
Right.
That was a difficult time, by the way. You always seem to have some difficult times along the way, and I know you have great stories as well. But the difficult time that was taking place when I first joined the council was the city. Obviously, the city became a city in the mid-'70s, as I remember.
Right.
It was a town before that, part of Prince William County. But the city was a city. And it was trying to protect itself from the growth of the jail. And the jail is located near a residential community in Manassas. And Prince William County wanted to grow the jail. And our citizens didn't want that to happen. It was a difficult time. And Bob Brown supported our citizens and tried to do his best to keep the jail from expanding too much. And it wasn't until the next mayor came along that relationship between the city and the county became much more positive. That was Marvin Gillum.
He was man for the job.
Marvin Gillum did a good job of
Yeah.
that.
He was a remarkable
But
man.
it was a challenging time, because if you do work for the community as an elected official, and people call you and talk to you about the things that are on their mind, the things that are important to them, you have to consider those things.
Yeah.
And many of those people that lived in that area didn't want to see it grow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that was a thing when I was in
When you
office.
were there.
Yeah.
When you were there. In fact, were you part of the solution that we now have that limits the growth in the hole in the donut?
No. I don't think that I was in office. I don't think.
Yeah. There is a solution if the council continues to support it and the county continues to support it. There's a solution and a limit to the amount we got that accomplished with.
I don't think I was on council then.
I couldn't remember whether you were or you weren't. But there's a solution if the council continues to make sure that that agreement is supported.
Yeah. Well, they need to. It's just better to work with the county and try not to fight them.
Right. You'd like to have a good working relationship with the people that surround us, the government that surrounds us, and the elected officials.
Yeah.
And we should. And I think our elected officials now are working at that.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a consideration, and the plans over there are pretty. I mean, they're long-term plans, but wow.
Yeah. The long-term plans are good. I just like to see them begin.
Yeah.
Begin. One of the things that the plan includes is to do something with the old school building, Bennett Elementary, that is boarded up and looks very unsightly.
Yeah.
Of course, it's in our community, not really their community, even though they
I don't
own
know what
the
you do
land.
with that thing. It doesn't fit in with anything over there.
Yeah. So it's a challenge, and you'd like to see it. But they've got good plans.
Yeah,
if they go ahead and start doing something with them. Maybe our elected officials will start working on that.
Yeah. I mean, they're very busy.
They've got a lot on their plate.
Some of it's self-inflicted.
Yes.
Some of it is, Rich asked me a question. He said, what do you think about the city's future? And I said, it's cloudy.
Cloudy, okay.
Cloudy, and I had to circle back because I said, and I don't mean that's bad, right? I mean, it's intentional. The city council has bought a tremendous amount of property, and they continue. And, and they're important pieces of land. Your piece of land and the downtowner and the stuff on Mathis, and those are big bets.
Yeah.
And
add to that Marsteller from the Baptist Church.
Yeah, those are big bets, and that's why I say it's cloudy, because it is it's impossible to predict. When I was elected at first, we had that giant deal with Lerner out there by the airport.
Yep.
And that all went, the Great Recession lit that on fire.
Right.
And even then, we were council was talking about, we've owned this land for a long time. We need to do something with it. And, we get what we got out there, which is, I would argue, is maybe not the highest and best use.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think there's the good thing is there's more to be done.
Yeah, there's still some dirt out there.
And they've got some opportunity to do something. I do. I like your answer to Rich. Cloudy is probably a good way to put it, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's negative.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's positive. It means it's an open book waiting to happen. And, I can understand the hotel, although I think they paid a lot more for it than it might have been worth.
Yeah, you had to buy the guy's business.
And you had to get him out of there.
Yeah.
And so that was a reasonable thing to do. And there's an opportunity.
There is.
And I'm told, though I don't know much about it in the detail, I'm told that property, the old hotel at Main and Center, along with our property, provides the city council, a developer, an opportunity to accomplish some things that are positive for the city.
Yeah.
Frankly, increasing maybe some of the city's square footage, maybe. I don't know what they're going to do exactly. And potentially increasing the tax base for the city, which
is important.
Which is always helpful.
Yeah. Were you on the council when the current city hall was built?
No. And I was working at MIFCO, and I can see the window that of my office up to City Hall, which was kind of interesting, in the decades that ensued. But that was 1985-86.
Okay.
I joined the council in 93, so
Okay. Yeah.
that was 1985-86, and an interesting time for Manassas Ice and Fuel Company as well, because that's when they started doing some construction, and they found some of the underground stuff that's there.
Right.
At that time. There's a long story there, which is another conversation, perhaps.
Larry Hughes loved to tell this story about the council that built that building, was that they insisted the fourth floor was unfinished.
And, early on, it wasn't finished.
Is that right?
It was not finished. It then ultimately became a big sort of conference room. Wasn't much finished out, but it became a conference room, and we used it. And then ultimately, the rest changes. But
the reason Larry said the reason they did that is so that the city staff couldn't grow anymore because there wasn't any more space.
They wanted to limit the impact on the budget, the expense side of the city's budget.
I mean, some of those guys still call it the fourth floor tax.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. But they, that was really. I mean, it seems like there's almost been sort of like three different style of councils over the years. When I was first elected, I was surprised by how sacred most members of the council felt like taxpayer money was. They took it, and the guy who really took it to me was Woody Merchant.
Mm-hmm.
Because I proposed spending something on, I don't even know what it was. And Woody's like, that is taxpayer money. We can pay for that. Something out the airport.
Yeah.
We can pay for that by getting money from some other place. It left an impression. I appreciated how serious everybody was about it.
It's interesting. Woody was another one of those people, not unlike yourself, who was an astute business person.
Woody was
an astute
really
business
good.
person.
Yeah.
And he looked at the community as a business. And in fact, if you really think about it, it is. It's different, but it's still a business. And you've got customers, you've got clients, you've got constituents that you serve just like a business. And Woody was one of those ones. I was so pleased that he was on the airport commission when he was. And he led that airport commission and created great change in the airport, great positive change in the airport. A lot of what's out there today can be, we can thank Woody for that leadership.
Yeah.
And Juan.
Juan makes it rain money.
Yeah.
I was shocked to find out that it took no city money.
Very, very little city money, because the FAA, the federal government, will invest in airports like that, particularly airports that are meaningful. And Manassas Regional Airport is a meaningful airport for this area. Yes, we've got Dulles, which is huge.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got National, which is impactful. But Manassas Regional Airport is an airport that can take large aircraft as necessary and be an overflow for those other two at important times. I know there's talk about scheduled airlines, that kind of thing. We've had scheduled airlines there. Colgan Air was there for many, many years. Right. And Colgan was there because of IBM. Colgan was there because of IBM. IBM needed to move their people. There's an interesting story about IBM. May I?
Yeah, sure.
My dad happened to be mayor at the time IBM came, and they knew, the elected officials here knew, including Dad, knew that someone was buying up property, but they didn't know who. They didn't know who, they didn't know why. And the reason for that is IBM didn't want the price of buying land to skyrocket.
Right.
So they kept it on the down low, so to speak. And ultimately, they found out that it was IBM. And Dad asked the leadership of IBM early, why did you come to Manassas? Because there wasn't any tech really in Manassas at that time in the 60s. And the answer was three things. One, they needed to continue to educate their people, their employees. And at that time, it wasn't George Mason University. It was Northern Virginia Community College.
Oh, okay.
And secondly, they wanted to be able to move their people because they had entities all over the East Coast of the United States, and they needed to move their people. And Manassas Regional Airport was the answer.
I see.
And the third thing, and maybe most important, they were going to be making some chips as well, and they needed copious amounts of clean water.
Yeah.
Clean water. And years before, the town at the time, had invested in Lake Manassas. And that was a far-reaching, far-seeing decision by the council at that time of the town. Didn't even know what the impact would become.
No, there's no way they could have known that. But that was a masterstroke. I mean, it has enabled the city to thrive.
Yes.
It really has.
Yeah. IBM came, L'Oreal came, Lockheed Martin came, BAE Systems came, and now
Micron. And they spent so much money out there. Whew, it's a big facility, man.
It is. It's huge.
So when, what do you think? One of the questions Rich asked me was, like, who out of the guys and gals that were on the council, do you have one or more of them that kind of showed you the ropes and the lay of the land and all that kind of stuff?
Yes. I was fortunate. There was a time I watched, oh gosh, help me with the name, former Mayor John, before Bob Brown.
I don't know.
I'll come up with it in just a second. Anyway, I watched him very closely. He was what I consider to be a very good mayor. He was shortly after Dad, and he served...
Weber?
John Weber. He served as a council member and then one term as mayor. And I thought he was very good as mayor. Watched him during council meetings and the like, and never understood why he didn't run a second time. After he finished service, and I saw him one day, I asked him that question. Why didn't you run again? You would have won easily, I think. He said, no, I don't think so, because I was the tie-breaking vote to allow the electric lines to go through Old Town Manassas.
The Old Town people were hot about that.
I was the tie-breaking vote to allow that to occur, and so he didn't run. He, I think, served well.
Yeah.
Served well.
Yeah, he was chair of utilities forever.
Chair of utilities forever. That goes to another thing that I might bring up if we have time. But to answer your question, there were really, really two people that I looked up to all the council members at that time. Zirk White was one. Right. Zirk White was one that voted for me to join the council in 1993, as were the others except for Maury Gerson. Maury told me later that he didn't support me. He supported someone else. But Maury became a very, very good friend.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that I wanted to learn more from than anyone else.
Oh, is that right?
Because I was very interested in the city budget. My undergraduate degree's in engineering, but my graduate degree's in business management. So I was very interested in the city budget, and he knew more about the city budget at that time than anyone else. He knew the details of the city budget. And he probably was in cahoots with Woody Merchant about what you talked about just a moment ago. But nevertheless, Maury, who's still with us today, and I saw him yesterday and today, but he was a very good council member, cared about this community, and knew more about the city budget than anyone else. And he became a very, very good friend. And he shared with me that he didn't vote for me.
I met Maury. Actually, I met his daughter.
Yes,
I think in high school,
mm-hmm.
And I met him through her. And I must have run into him some other place too.
Of course you did. Yeah.
So that's always an interesting story. And then when you first ran for mayor,
yes,
tell me a little bit about that.
Well, let me go back in time a little bit. I like to tell stories. Of course, Bob Brown was mayor when I joined. Marvin Gillum was a two-term mayor after that, and then we sort of knew that Marvin wasn't going to run.
Right.
And Doug Waldron, who was on the council with me, another good friend, came to me with a license plate that said "for mayor," and he showed me the license plate for mayor, and he said, "I'm going to run for mayor," and I hadn't thought too much about it at that time, and he ran for mayor, was successful, won, and served well. He's the one that has done a lot of things with regard to particularly schools because he came from the school board. And one of the things I really appreciate, and it's a relatively small thing, but he got it done for, I think, no cost. I think John Gregory paid to have the cupola put back on.
Oh, I think he did, yeah.
Harry Parrish Town Hall or Old Town Hall. And the cupola looks fantastic, and it's one of those things that helps make Old Town Manassas a little special.
And it finishes that building.
It does.
It does. It looks way better.
It does. So anyway, Doug ran and served, and he decided that he was not going to run again, and so I threw my hat in the ring, and I don't frankly remember too much about the election at that moment, but I was fortunate enough to serve, and I appreciated that. Served as mayor for I think 12 and a half years, and I the pieces that I would say today to anyone, and I've had a number of people ask me over the last 5 or 6 years, what do you miss? What do you miss? Well, I miss the people, and that's my answer. I miss the people. And then they ask, well, what people do you miss? Well, I miss the citizens. I really do. You hear a lot.
Yeah.
Some of it negative.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the opportunity that you have to make something positive out of a negative. But I miss citizens. Sometimes you get a pat on the back and sometimes you don't, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
But I also miss the employees, the city staff, particularly the senior staff that I worked closely with. We had a very good senior staff as I was mayor, and I very much appreciated working closely with our police and our fire and our rescue. As you indicated earlier, I was a volunteer firefighter here in the city for 15 years. 15 years, from 78 to 93 when I joined the council. Wow. Something had to give, so I stopped running actively. But from 78 to 93, I ran fire calls a lot. I can tell you some stories about that. But as mayor particularly, you get an opportunity to work more closely with senior staff and to work really closely with police. particularly the chief and the higher ups in the police department, and fire and rescue. And when I was mayor, it was a time of change. A time of real change for the fire department, which I had challenge with because I wanted to continue to see the volunteers save money for the citizens. But Manassas was changing, the area was changing, growing, and our citizens demanded more.
Yeah, that was a tough road to hoe.
It's a challenge, and we did it step by step. And you were part of that. You were part of that. And I know that you worked closely with him. And it was a challenge. It was a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, that was a lot. You had seriously competing interests.
That's right.
And, it's kind of split the baby kind of thing.
Right.
Everybody seemed unhappy, so it was probably a good deal.
Probably the right decisions along the way. Speaking about the fire department, we've got a relatively new fire station down on the south side of the city. The council approved that.
Yeah. After
looking at several different locations, one of which the schools did not want. So the council acquiesced to that and put it on the very edge of the south.
Yeah, basically in Richmond County.
Yeah. and I still believe that's the wrong place for it.
I agree.
But it still serves our community.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I hope they don't make the same mistake when they move the fire department or build another fire station, which they plan to do.
Yeah.
They'll build another fire station, and if they put it out too far north, with a fire station, just like a police station, you have to think about transportation. You have to think about how you get the equipment to the people in need.
Yeah.
And the current fire station that I served in is a good location because it's easy access to Centerville Road, easy access to Sudley Road.
Yep.
You can go south, you can go north. I'm told they're thinking about putting it out at Marsteller, maybe.
That's what I heard.
And easy access to Sudley Road, but very easy access to Prince William County.
Yeah.
So you're moving sort of away from the center of our community.
Yeah,
I hope they consider that well.
I was kind of surprised they picked that location way out there and then, cut Grand Avenue in half.
Yeah.
I don't really understand the thinking because, as opposed to like the police, the police that are going to service calls are already out on the road.
Right.
They're not coming out of the station. Fire trucks are.
Right.
They don't just roam around the city all day. Right. So, I
you've got to think about transportation when you're thinking about locating a fire station, or you end up with needing too many fire stations for the money.
Yeah. Yep. So, what do you think was the biggest challenge of your time as mayor?
Wow. As mayor. Let me tell a story.
Yeah.
For years, the people that are interested in our schools have been talking about replacing Baldwin Elementary.
Right.
Now, remember, that's the second Baldwin Elementary, the one on South Main.
Right.
The first one was where the museum is now, which I went to. But for decades, really, better than 20 years, people have been talking about replacing Baldwin Elementary. It was getting old, getting a little worn.
Yeah.
There actually are two schools built like it, the same architecture. One of them's in the county, one of them's here in the city because it was a county school.
Right.
The county built it.
Right.
County built it. Anyway, as an elected official, you hear that. You want to do something about it if you can at the right moment. And for many years, it didn't boil up to the surface. And then again, several things occurred. We had a downturn. I mean, a big downturn. 2006, 2007, 2008, if I remember correctly, and pretty good sizable downturn.
Yeah.
I think you were a member
I was.
of council.
I was. That was not a lot of fun.
And assessments were going one way, tax rates were going another because they were doing this.
Yeah.
30% increase and decrease in 1 year because the economy was impactful. Nevertheless, I always, in the back of my mind, kept the desire to do something with regard to Baldwin Elementary School. And at the same time, we were losing a city manager, Larry Hughes. We were losing a city manager. Were you on the council when we hired Badesky?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were. Anyway, the council hires the city manager, not the mayor.
Right.
Mayor's probably closer to it.
Yeah.
But the council is the governing body, and those members on the council make up the governing body. So here we are going through a process of hiring a new city manager. And we hire our second choice, if you remember. I won't go through the first choice,
Yeah,
but our second choice was still a very, very good choice, and his name was John Badesky. So I'm working with him daily almost. He had a lot to learn about the city.
Yeah.
And he was getting his feet wet. And about a month into his term, I felt like we were coming out of that downturn. And I asked him to do something for me, for the city. And that was this. I don't know if you remember it or not. Put together your thoughts on how to do investment in the city. And one of the investments has got to be a new Baldwin Elementary School. And at that time, I think we were talking about $30-40 million, as I remember. I think it ended up costing a little bit more than that. But I think at that time, we were sort of talking those numbers. And I said, listen, write me a single sheet of paper, single-spaced if you need to, but not on the other side, one page, how you would accomplish it, budget-wise, support-wise, etc. He came back to me a week later and gave me his paper. I looked at it, and I thought it was perfect. I wish I had a copy of it today, and in fact, I've contacted him to see if he still had it, because I didn't. Anyway, he gave me this single sheet of paper, and I thought it was perfect. Ultimately, I took it not to the council first. I took it to the then chairman of the school board.
Art?
No, Scott Albrecht.
Oh, okay.
Scott Albrecht was the chairman of the school board at that moment.
Yeah.
And there's method in my madness. We're coming out of a downturn. Not sure it's really coming out.
Right.
But here we are thinking about making a sizable investment in our community. And I knew the schools would support it. Took it to Scott. He reads it and said, I can support that. I knew he would.
Yeah.
And then I took it to the council.
Yeah.
Needed 4 votes in the next budget. You were one of them.
I was 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because I had to horse trade with John Way.
I was about to tell you that John Way was the guy that made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Had the 2 other votes, no problem.
Yeah.
Your vote was there.
Yeah.
But you did it.
Well, I went to, I wanted it to pass. I was, it's like, look, we're just, and he put John Badesky, that plan was larger than that. It also funded the construction of Dean.
That's right.
The schools subsequently didn't follow the plan. We'll just say that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and I was talking to John Away, and he said, I'm not there. And I said, well, what do you need? And he told me, I need these three things. We need to defer one hire and not do one hire and lay somebody, something like that. And so I went to the city manager, kicked the door shut, and said, this is what I need. Make it happen. Good. The staff hated me. Hated me. Because we went through the whole appropriations process, right?
Yeah.
And that just, none of these discussions were happening.
Yeah.
And at the 11th hour, suddenly.
But we got 4 votes.
Yeah.
And made it happen.
Yeah.
And Baldwin Elementary exists. The new one, the third one.
Yeah.
The third Baldwin Elementary School exists because of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether, that probably was a challenge. It certainly was something that I wanted to see happen. And I knew, like you did, that John was the fourth vote, and you needed 4 votes because we knew there was one at least that wasn't going to be there.
No.
And so that was good. I've been asked over the time, and in fact, during political moments, early on, I got asked this question. I said, "Well, what have you done for the city?" And one of my very early answers was, "I got a guardrail installed on Ashton Avenue." On Ashton Avenue. Now, it wasn't really me,
right?
But I was. There was an accident one day. It happened to have been the second accident in the same place on Ashton Avenue in the turn, just not far from Ashton Avenue Diner.
Right.
In the turn, 2 people had run into the fence and into the backyard of people's houses.
Right.
And so I heard loud and clear from those people, and I said, "Well, we need a guardrail there." And so I talked it up with the staff. I don't know whether I was the guy that got it done or not. The staff got it done.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that because somebody asked me, "What have you done for the city?" I got a guardrail installed. But my answer these days is I got a guardrail installed and helped with Baldwin Elementary.
Yeah, I mean that was very much a cooperative effort.
Yes,
it very much.
Yes, was. It was. Well, it took four votes, and
no one does anything alone, right?
That's right.
Right. So one of the stories that I told when I talked to Rich yesterday was about when I first got on the council. We were getting ready to vote on the parking garage. And I mean, I had been on the council a month or 2 or something. And, I didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
I didn't think it.
Yeah.
And Larry Hughes, I think it was Larry Hughes, kind of dragged me into his office and said, "Listen, dear guy, we have to build this thing."
Yeah. Well, think about that for just a moment, Andy. He knew that you were one of the more thoughtful council members. He knew that you could help make things happen if you were on board.
Yeah.
So he needed you, and he worked to get you.
Well, he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever, when you were first on council, did you ever have one of those moments where some of the more experienced hand kind of came around and said, "You don't want to"?
This is another one of those little stories. And I have to smile and hopefully everybody that might listen to this laughs. Because I think the staff thought that I would nix an idea as mayor. I was mayor at the time. That I would nix the idea. Pat Pate and I met multiple times every week. And there was this moment that we were meeting, and it's usually just Pat and myself. But this time he brought Liz Villa with him, and Liz Villa was a community development person who was well known, well liked,
Yeah.
and really did a fine job for the city and cared about the city. So in come the two of them. I'm sitting there at the table in the mayor's office, and they come in and sit down. I knew something was up. I wasn't quite sure what it was. And they showed me the new logo slash the thing that they put on the side of all the trucks.
Right.
The thing that they put on the letterhead, the thing that has Manassas.
Right.
The new design for Manassas that's got a variety of things on it, including the depot, the Harris Pavilion, the maybe even, out there in the county, help me out. But anyway, the new logo for they brought that thing for me and showed it to me. It's all color, green, blue, red. Very nice. I thought it was great. And I found out later that she was there because they thought I would not allow it. First of all, the mayor didn't have that authority, but they wanted me, they wanted me to support it, and I thought it was great from the get-go. I thought it was a very good compilation of what the city was, and it was something new. And I think what they thought was that I would not want to have it changed from Old Town Hall.
Right.
Which I still appreciate, obviously. But that new logo for the city is a good thing. It was at that time, and it was new. It expressed a little bit more about the city and what the city is about at that time, and even today.
Yeah. Yeah, I was sad to see John go. I understand what he was working with. Yeah. But
you're talking about Badesky.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not with us very long.
No. I was sorry to see.
And the council immediately went back into the process of hiring a new city manager, which, as you know, but many people don't know, the council's got really two main jobs. The council is the governing body, not the mayor, in Manassas. The council's governing body. They got two main jobs. Hire a city manager, somebody capable of managing all the departments of the city.
Right.
A very important position. Directly reports to the council.
Yeah.
And setting a budget every year.
Yeah.
Those two important things, those are big items, and the council's got the responsibility for both of them.
Well, the council spends, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 months on the budget?
Yeah.
I remember when I first got there, the process, it was unbelievable. The number of meetings, like full day Saturday meetings.
A lot of detail.
And I remember I went through that first budget, and we went through the second budget, and I said, "I'm not coming here. This is ridiculous." I had a line item budget printed, and I said, I remember, I think I was actually talking to Avani about this, and I said, what do I know about a police department? How many bullets they should buy, or I don't know these things. That's why we have a chief of police, and so the council did agree, thankfully, to forego the all-day Saturday meetings. Yeah. But still, even without those, it was a forced march.
A lot of work.
Lots of detail to take in.
A lot of work. And you're going to think I'm nuts. You should be on council now.
No.
No, yeah, Andy, you care about the city. Mm-hmm. You grew up here. You know the city well. And you're a creative guy. You're a thoughtful guy. And you can make things happen.
I could. My main problem is I'm kind of a man without a party.
I get you.
I
get you.
Don't really identify with either anymore. Trump is, people like to call, the MAGA movement, conservatives. if you read any account of Trump's actions, he's not a conservative man by any stretch. He makes people think about, well, if, back in the day we did things this way and everything just worked, so let's do it like we did back in the day. But a conservative guy doesn't do what he does, and it's just it doesn't work for me. And the Democrats have similarly, both parties have gone towards their ends. Right. They've split horribly, and there's a lot of guys like me, businessman, fiscal conservatives,
right,
who feel like, or small government, who feel like they've been kind of abandoned there.
Yeah.
And so I'd have to run as an independent.
There's some truth. There's some truth to that. It's that in and of itself is a challenge that the voter needs to consider.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the voter thinks deeply. They've got their lives. They've got their families.
They've got their lives, and there's no local source of information.
That's a big challenge.
Which is part of the idea behind this thing. Yeah. But, better than half of the elected officials in the city have either not replied to an invite or just said no.
Yeah. Yeah, let me talk about something that you've heard me speak about before, and I never quite know whether people hear it or consider it. Manassas, and people will think that I'm coming at it because of how I've run in the past. I've always run as a Republican. I think I'm a moderate Republican, but people will think that I'm coming at it because of that, and I'm not. Our elections in Manassas were changed some years ago, and the politics changed overnight.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not speaking about whether it's R's and D's so much, but I'm very concerned that today, often when you go to the polling places, the voter doesn't know who they're voting for.
No.
And I'll say it particularly in a presidential year.
Yeah.
When you have hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on a presidential campaign, what minuscule dollars might be able to be spent by a candidate for council who is competent is far overwhelmed by that kind of money.
When you have all the volunteers out there, and if it's a presidential year,
volunteers that come from elsewhere, not even the city, and so you've got elections being held in Manassas where people get elected, but they don't even know, the electorate doesn't even know what they stand for, because they're here to vote for R's or they're here to vote for D's, and they don't really know who's running and what their qualifications are for. You've got an election coming up in November, treasurer and commissioner of the revenue, or for that matter, council and mayor.
Yeah.
I think it's important for the locals to know who those people are that are going to represent them in their local government.
And they don't.
And the old saying has been for years and years and years, all politics is local, but not when you have a presidential election.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you're right. It's changed overnight. Before, everyone that ran mostly ran as a Republican, and you could fairly say that there are some number of Democrats who ran as members of the Republican Party and ran as a Republican and got elected.
If anybody, those that might listen to this kind of conversation, I hope they'll think deeply about what we've just talked about. For your local elections, try to get to know or understand or at least have a feel for the people who are running and asking for your vote.
Yeah.
Not necessarily whether you're an R or a D. Okay, so there are going to be R's that don't like me saying that.
Yeah.
But know who they are. Get a chance to do a little homework and figure out what they stand for, what their competencies are, if they have any.
Yeah.
And vote for your local representatives based upon your belief that they'll do a good job for you, not necessarily whether they're an R or a D.
Yeah, I mean I had both of the guys running for commissioner on, and they say they're knocking doors and doing lit drops and all that fun and games, but you're right. Moving the elections to November really changed things
during a presidential year.
Yeah. I mean, you have no hope as a local candidate that you're going to be able to rise above that level.
Yeah, you can't get your word out. There's no way to get your word out. People are concentrating, and rightly so, on the federal level, maybe even the state level, and know less about their local representatives. And they're the ones that impact their lives on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, truly, people don't understand how much impact the local government has. You don't hear about it, but, I wrote that damn blog for 8 years. I mean, several times a week, I spent a lot of time trying to explain to people why the council did whatever it is they did, or why I said whatever it was I said. But it still held no candle to one article in a Journal Messenger.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's gone away. But Andy, don't give it up. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing it.
But it's just, the local paper is so important. Yeah. We've got some online versions now, but it was a huge difference. When I was first elected, the Washington Post had a full-time bureau in Old Town with like 3 or 4 employees. And I don't remember what that reporter's name was, but I know she was determined, to understand. And she came to every meeting. Yeah. And after every meeting, she was asking questions and stuff like that.
And that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. That's what it should look like.
I know we're over time a little bit, but may I bring up one thing that's sort of near and dear to my heart? You're aware of it. Certainly, our cattlemen brothers are well aware of this as well, because I've spoken to the cattlemen about it. And it's I worked pretty seriously and long and over the years with regard to transportation for not only the city, but Northern Virginia. I was the city's representative for many, many years to the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, which has back when I was there, about $350 million a year of revenue to spend on reducing congestion.
Right.
That's what their job is. That's the only job they've got, reducing congestion. $350 million to spend throughout the 9 jurisdictions here in Northern Virginia. And we had, when I was there, and this is 5 or 6 years ago now, we had money available because the project ranked highly for congestion relief for what I'll call Godwin Drive Extended. Godwin Drive Extended. It is a roadway that will reduce congestion, that will serve tens of thousands of people a day if it's built. And unfortunately, our elected representatives don't see fit or cannot come together enough to make it happen. Democrats are in a perfect position to be able to do that, both in the city and in the county, and at the federal level with our 2 Democrat senators. If they were to come together and support reducing congestion in Northern Virginia by building that roadway, the right-of-way exists.
Yeah.
Have to do some things with regard to the environmental aspects of it, of course. And there's some people that will be impacted, and you can help them.
Yeah.
People that will be impacted are few relative to the tens of thousands that could be on that road, reducing congestion in Northern Virginia every day.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about this before. I didn't love that project simply because, that project, these roads that we have, Hastings and the other one that runs by Grace.
Yes, Wellington.
Wellington. Those are like sleepy little suburban roads, right? But what they really are is divided 4-lane highways.
That's right.
And Godwin Drive Extended turns them into that. But inasmuch as we have spent millions widening 28 on the other side of that bridge, and you're not going to, it's not going to get past the bridge.
Yeah, we were fortunate. Because I was on the MBTA, I saw and spoke to Fairfax's transportation director, Tom Bashadny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, often. And I would urge him, that's all I could do.
Yeah.
I'm a little city of Manassas relative
Right.
to Fairfax County, 1 million
Right.
people. But I urged him, I said, listen, you all you need to build this road, add to it. And they did. And they did it. Not serving a lot of their citizens, but as part of a larger regional network. So we've got those 3 lanes going north of the bridge between Prince William and Fairfax. We've
Right.
got those 3 lanes going up there to 66 now.
Yeah.
And the ability to move. And what really is of interest to me is the people who are going out 28 in the morning
Right.
and coming back in the evening. It's backed up tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a 2-lane, not a 3.
Yeah.
And Godwin Drive Extended would help.
Well, that 3-lane project doesn't make any sense unless you have Godwin Drive.
Yeah.
And in that much, I agree with you. I mean, something needed to be done, but I don't understand how we decided. Well, I guess it's Prince William County basically decided. Although I don't think Danica supported it either.
No, our senator doesn't support it. Thinks that our senator can accomplish fixing 28 and has run on that every time our current senator has run.
Yeah.
And has done nothing. And I can tell you this, if anyone thinks that they can widen 28 through Yorkshire and buy the right-of-way they need, they'll have to get rid of businesses.
Yeah.
They'll have to pay businesses big money, and it'll cost a whole lot more than building.
They'll have to rebuild that bridge.
They'll have to rebuild the bridge, and it just taking. Recently, our business has had 2 moments when Stafford County wants to take property in one case, has taken property from us in another along Route 1. The businesses that are there, if they're impacted, the money that it's going to take to accomplish that is more than I'm certain anyone considers.
That would be a hell of a lot of money.
Right.
So, but yeah, that 3-lane project makes no sense without Godwin Drive.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
I know we're about to end here. One, thanks for your service.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for
Also,
yours.
thank you for your business in Old Town Manassas. And as I told you, as I got here, I thought I was going to West Street.
West Street.
In fact, I was there until a nice young lady said, well, they've moved. And I said, well, Google will know.
Yeah, Google does know. Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's always fun to talk to guys that you served with and stuff like that. I mean, you served a hell of a lot longer than I did. After 8 years, I was ready to head for the exits.
No, I get it.
But I'll tell you something. You said I should be on the council. We have a place down in Colonial Beach, and within
as you should.
Yeah, but we weren't there a month. We only go down on the weekends. We don't really live
What
there.
do they do? Ask you to run for office?
Yeah. I was in the brewery down there, and I ran into this guy. You know, he he's easy to like talk to, right?
Yeah.
So we start chatting, and someone else was complaining something about the town of Colonial Beach, and you know, he said something about it, and I was like, this guy had to have been in office. Only people that are in public office understand these budgets like this.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
talked to him, and he was the immediate past mayor
Oh my gosh. Okay.
of the town of Colonial Beach.
So he was former.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He had not been gone all that long, I don't think. And so we started chatting, and I told him, yeah, I was on the city council up there in Manassas for 2 terms, and he's like, you should run for office. And I'm like, his name's Eddie. I said, Eddie, no, that's not why I'm here, brother. And he goes, man, we could use some people that are like seasoned hands to do this. And down there, I think it's nonpartisan.
Well, you know, he's probably right.
Well, he's probably right, but that's not why I go to Colonial Beach.
I get it. No, I totally.
Now, it's funny, though, because their politics
get it.
down there are kind of where Manassas was 25 or 30 years ago.
Mhm.
Just, ordinary folks that run for
Yeah.
office. So,
Yeah.
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 Well, Hal, thanks for coming on, man.
It's wonderful to be with you, and thanks for your hospitality.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though I gave you the bomb.
You brought the booze. You did.
All the best.